and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough. For those of you who haven't seen the show, my name is Art Bergeron. I'm an attorney. I do nothing but elder law. I work at Myrick O'Connell. There are 70 of us there. We're the biggest firm outside of Boston, and so as a result, everybody gets to do what they like. I really like elder law, especially now that I'm getting older. But this show is not about elder law. It's about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've seen any of my presentations, you know that they are my model couple, Frank and Mary, and their kids, Peter, Paul, and Mary Jr., and their goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if they live in Northborough, that's where they want to be. They don't want to be in San Diego. They don't want to be in Los Angeles. They want to be here. And so the point of the show is to let you see the people that you ought to know and the programs you ought to know about if you want to just stay here in Northborough. And to do that, I needed a person that knows everybody, and so I convinced my friend Anita Hagspiel to do this show as my co-host with me, and we've been doing it now for a while, and inevitably she gets these great guests to help you kind of understand people that you ought to know, and Anita's got a person, you got to know this person. So Anita, who do you have here today with us?
Well, I am very pleased to introduce Agnes Sargarian, who's been a long-time friend member of the Northborough Senior Center, and she's been extremely active for all these years, well over 30, and I think it's just great that she's coming to talk with you about something very special that she's in charge of. So,
so would you rather that I call you Ms. Sargarian or Agnes?
You can call me Agnes.
I can call you Agnes, because it makes me feel younger if I can call you Ms. Sargarian, but I'll call you Agnes. So Agnes, we were just talking a little bit before, and I was mentioning that I just had our anniversary, and we were just married 42 years, and you said that you've been married now how many years?
69.
69 years. So we're like a kind of a new couple, right? But we share the fact we each have 3 kids, and yours are kind of, you got 1 away and 2 that are kind of around here. But you said you're not native. You will never be a native. So how did you, I'm just as a background, how did you end up coming to Northborough?
Well, my husband always worked in the Boston area. So I said to him, and you know, we got to get closer because you're always trying to get up too early, catch the train, and get there, and then you get back late. So we came and looked at the houses. We went to Cedar Hill. I didn't like those homes. We went to Pine. I didn't like those homes. So when we went to Northgate, I liked the houses there because the kitchen was a larger size, the master bedroom was a larger size, and also we could expand. It had an expansion attic.
Right.
So I was pregnant with my 2nd child when we moved there, and
that's what we did for the main house. It was my wife was present with the 2nd child. Right?
Yeah. So I've been very happy living in Northgate.
Yeah. Now, are you still in Northgate?
Yes.
You must be one of the more senior members of there.
I'm an original owner of the house, still in the same house.
That's great. That's great. And then your husband eventually retired, right? And your kids have kind of grown up and moved, right? And at some point recently, you got involved with the senior center. That was a few years ago.
Yes, that was back in 1989.
Back in 1989, yeah.
I retired in '88. I was worked for a New England Envelope Company. And I decided there were things I wanted to do in my house. So once I got caught up on the renovations, I said, now what'll I do? And I said, well, I think I'll go to the senior center and see if they need volunteer help. So when I went there, Renee McHugh was director at that time.
By the way, we should tell the folks that, so if you volunteer for the senior center, it doesn't mean you really have to volunteer for 30 years, you know.
No.
You can go, you know, thinking maybe it isn't quite that permanent. But anyway, so you went to see a person named Renee McHugh?
Yeah, she was director then.
Yeah, and where was the senior center then?
It was on Center Drive.
I see.
Yeah. So Renee gave me an envelope full of a lot of material, and she said to me, have you ever worked with children? I said, well, I had 3. And I said, and I was a Sunday school teacher. I said, so I have worked with a lot of children. And so she says, will you take this home and read it and see if you can do this work? So I took it home and I looked through it and I said, oh, I can do this.
And what was she wanting you to do?
She wanted me to be an intergenerational coordinator and bring the elderly seniors in touch with the elementary school children and the high schools.
And this was 30 years ago. That was really ahead of its time. I mean, that's become much more popular now.
Yeah. So I did it, and I did it for about 4 years, and then my husband retired and said to me, I know how dedicated you are every time you do anything. He said, so how are we going to be traveling if you're going to be on this job? So I had to write a letter that I was going to resign.
Yeah.
And Renee tried to get someone else to do it, and they only lasted a week, and their program just went down the drain. Nobody else wanted to carry it on.
Right, right.
But it was very successful.
And I know from your perspective, that must have been a tremendous drop in your income when you stopped doing that program. I bet they were paying you a lot of money to do that.
No, it was no.
All volunteer.
It was volunteer.
But don't you find the most important things you do in life are the ones you don't get paid for?
Yeah.
Because the stuff that you do get paid for, other people can do them.
No, I enjoyed doing it because it was the high school children. We had 7 of them. And we had nutritionists, we had nurses come in and speak to them. Their duty was to visit with shut-in seniors, and they couldn't take them shopping or anything. Yeah. They could, if they wanted to walk around their yard, they could take them in, around the yard. But anyway, what they did is either, talked with them, or if they wanted to play any kind of a game or anything like that. And they were not, they could not, open up any of their mail or anything unless they asked them.
Right.
But, I mean, it worked for a year, because every year we had different students. And then we had a graduation ceremony also.
Oh, that was nice.
And when you bring some of the seniors invited to this graduation? So?
Yeah, the seniors. I went to Trombetta's.
Yeah.
I said, I'll get some flowers and I'll make... well, for the men, we made the boutonnieres and corsages for the women. Yeah. So when he asked me what I wanted the flowers for, and I told him, and he said, no charge. That's a wonderful thing you're doing. So he gave me the flowers, and I made the corsages and boutonnieres for the men.
That's lovely.
And we had a graduation party.
You had graduations.
We had a graduation party.
So you stepped out of that, and did your husband and you end up doing some traveling?
Yeah, we did.
That's great.
To Florida, to Puerto Rico, to California. Because his family most of his family lives in San Diego.
I see, I see. Now at some point though, you kind of got more re-engaged with the senior center? Yes,
I volunteer. I also work with Vicki on Mondays. I help with Bistro. But my main job is being a coordinator of low vision support group that I do.
Oh, that's wonderful.
How does that work?
Well, in 1995, when I picked up an Amsler Grid, because my eye doctor told me that he saw changes in my eye.
An Amsler Grid?
Amsler Grid. It looks like a tic-tac-toe, and it has a little dark circle. Yeah. And he said, now cover one eye and don't look at the lines, just look at the dark circle. And if you see any wavy lines, you call me immediately. Well, it happened in June of '95. I picked the Amsler Grid up and looked at it, and I saw the wavy lines. So I called, and he said, get in here right away. So I went, and he didn't tell me I have macular degeneration. He just said, I'm going to send you to see a low vision doctor. So anyway, he gave me the low vision doctor's name, and he said, tell him I recommended you. So I went, and I think I visited with that low vision doctor 3 years before I was told that I was now legally blind. So my daughter found out that there was a study group at Mass Eye and Ear in Boston. So she signed me up for that, and I got calls from them. So I was in a study there for 8 years. And they give you either, you don't know what you're on. They gave you some different vitamins or placebos.
Or a placebo, yeah.
But they never told you what you were on.
Right.
But whatever they gave me, I had terrible results with it. So
things got worse.
Oh yeah, no, it's
or
not my eyes.
Or just side effects.
Yeah, I had side effects.
Side effects, yeah.
Side effects from it, and so it was like it was like something was happening to me, and I didn't know what. So, and my husband he's an avid golfer, and he was out golfing, and I said, well, I better lay here and wait for him to come home. So when he came home, I said to him, something's happening to me. I said, I just don't feel right. So he took my pulse. My pulse was off, and he said to me, just lay here. And it happened to be Father's Day when we were supposed to go meet my daughter out in Sturbridge and celebrate Father's Day there. So my husband called my daughter and said, we can't come, Mom's not feeling well. So I just rested, you know, and my husband put pillows under my legs, and it took almost another 7 to 8 hours before I started feeling myself again.
So they must have taken you off those pills then.
Well, I called and I told them, I said, I don't think I can be in the study. And they said, why? I said, whatever you put me on. I said, I had a bad side effect with it. Well, we still want you to be in the study. So I just stopped taking it.
Right.
And I continued in the study. And I went the whole 8 years. And then when the study finished, they wrote letters to let us know what we were on.
Yeah.
And I was on zinc.
Zinc.
Strong zinc.
And it didn't have good effects.
It did not have good effects. Yeah.
So when did you start doing the low vision support group? Or did you create that, or was that something in existence?
No, I didn't create it. I joined a group of Beatrice Morris. Mm-hmm. She was a low vision group coordinator in Westboro.
And how long ago was that?
That was 13 years ago.
Okay.
That's when she retired, 13 years ago. And I've been doing it for 13 years. Mm-hmm. So she called me and she said, I want you to join our low vision support group. I said, well, where do you meet? She said, in Westboro. So I did join, and there were people that lived in the community that we held our meetings in. Mm-hmm. And then after about so many years, the Westboro people stopped coming, and it was just 5 of us from Northborough going.
Going to Westboro?
Yeah.
So it was like a night out.
Right.
You know?
So I said, why are we going to Westboro? I said, let me ask Kelly Burke.
Right.
If we can hold our meetings here.
Now, at that point, was the new center already open, or was, or
Yes, it was.
I see.
Yeah. So, no, actually, I don't think it was open. No, we were still the old senior center. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't open. So I said to Kelly Burke, I said, can you find a Thursday? I said, we usually meet second Thursday of the month, that we can hold a meeting here. Right. And she said, well, what's it all about? And I explained it to her. And she goes, well, let me see what I can do. And about 2 months later, she contacted me and said, okay, I got a date for you. She said, and Fran Weir and Norman Cohen are coming here from Mass Association and Commission for the Blind, so they want you to come. So I went, and they said, this is when the meeting's going to be, and then Fran Wheel looked at me and she said, you're going to be the coordinator.
Congratulations. Another high-paying job, right? Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute. I said, when B. Morris retired at 80 years old, that's how old I am, I said. She retired
you're kind of
at
carrying
80.
the torch, you know.
So anyway, they said, no, they said, you used to substitute for B. Morris, so you really know what it's all about. We want you to do it, Agnes. So I couldn't say no, so I did it. So I'm still doing it,
So
13 years.
And what do you do? What is the purpose of the support group?
It's anyone who is visually impaired in any way, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, whatever. They can come to the group. And I find speakers that will help the people with their vision. And sometimes I get excellent doctors who come who are low vision doctors. And then I get people who come and speak to us on nutrition that's good for people with low vision. And I find people that have a lot to do with other aspects, not only with the eyes, but anything that's going to affect them because they can't see.
For example?
Right. For example, I had a nutritionist come and speak, and I also had someone come and speak about how to become active in their homes without having any trouble. And occupational therapist I've had. So I've had all kind of speakers coming and speak to the people. Recently I had someone from assisted living.
Yeah.
I figured that, you know, we're all getting older and we may be at that stage. So that was interesting.
So can you just, for example, because once again, one of the reasons for the show is that a lot of the people who watch cable, local cable, are seniors.
Right.
And some of these folks may be folks who could really benefit from a lot of this stuff, but just wouldn't have thought, you know, that such a wonderful thing existed, that they really had this service. Do you recall, like, for example, can you give any examples of like how the nutrition stuff would be connected to this? Or for any of the folks who are, for instance, the occupational therapists,
yes.
What kind of things they talk about in terms of adaptations and stuff?
Yes, they talk about the proper foods to eat to for your eyes, and they are usually dark leafy greens, berries, and nuts. Those are good for your eyes. So they tell us, you know, how much quantity we should be eating daily of these products. And
now, did you ever have a chef come in to talk about? The reason why I asked this, I do a show in Nantucket, and we had a chef come in, and he was just talking about, you know, kind of designing meals around things that you really, really need to be eating. You know, a lot of times as a senior.
no, I've never had a chef.
So
That would be interesting.
That's another show for you.
I could think about that, yeah.
Now, what about the occupational therapists? Were they suggesting particular things to do or kinds of things that you can buy to accommodate?
Yeah, they tell you what they do to come in to help you in your own home.
Yeah.
They make sure that you're safe in your own home, you're able to take your own showers, and you know, they see what kind of help you need, and they try to get that help for you.
So do they actually go in and look at the way the house is decorated with furniture to maybe suggest that
yeah, they do.
The chairs should be in a certain place rather than where it is?
And if you have loose rugs that you may trip over, and they check all the rooms to make sure that you have enough lighting. And I've also had telephone people come and speak because
why?
Well, because they have phones for visually impaired people.
They can actually speak to you, right?
Yeah.
If someone calls, like,
I have
Anita Hagsbill is calling.
I have a talking telephone,
Yes,
and it repeats the numbers I'm dialing. So if I make a mistake, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And once again, for folks who haven't been kind of conscious of this, they just wouldn't even be aware of any of those options.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things that speakers I've had, and lots of times I meet them when I go to the convention that Mr. Eldridge puts on, our state rep.
Oh, the senior fair.
Yeah, there's all vendors.
There's
all vendors there, and I walk from one vendor's table to another to see if there's anything interesting that would be helpful to my group. And so then I inquire, do you do speaking engagements? And they say, yeah, we would.
She's good.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So,
and Agnes, how many people do you have that usually attend to the meeting?
Well, I used to have 15 people, but I've lost 5, 3 passed away, and 2 moved, went into assisted living. So now I'm down to 10.
So there's room in your group?
There's room, always room.
You're always recruiting.
Anyone's welcome.
Any dues, any costs?
There's no dues, it's free.
And are all of your members right now Northborough residents, or are there some people also?
No, we have, I have Westboro, sometime a
Yeah.
woman comes from Clinton, and most of them are from Northborough, but we do have Westboro and Clinton people.
And for people's benefit who are thinking about this, is there a regular time that you meet so that they can see if it would work for their schedule, or does that really vary?
Well, we meet the second Thursday of each month, and we meet from 1 to 3 at the Northborough Senior Center.
I get it.
And also, I remind every member about the group. I call them about 4 or 5 days before the meeting to remind them.
Just to make sure they're going to be there.
To make sure, yeah.
And now, do you have that in the bistro or in one of the conference rooms there?
No, it's a room that we have.
It's in one of the rooms?
Yes, yes.
Because you said you also work the bistro.
Well, I do on Mondays.
Do you bus tables? What do you do? Do you cook? What do you?
No, I'm not cooking.
Although she's a great cook.
She's a great cook.
I did. We had an international Tuesday night meal,
Yeah.
and I did make something that night. But we had to do it in the commercial kitchen. We are not allowed to bring anything from home.
Right.
Because we have a commercial kitchen now.
Right.
The old senior center we could, but we can't here.
Well, they want to be careful too. I mean,
They have
once
to be
again.
careful. They don't want anyone, getting sick or anything.
Yeah.
There was a woman who made all the birthday cakes, and she had to stop making them. So now Hannaford's donates cakes for the birthdays.
Donates the birthday cakes?
Yeah. Once a month, everyone, only Northborough residents,
Right.
get an invitation from
Yeah.
the senior center for a birthday lunch. So
Yes,
they
I think he knew that, and the Friends pay for that. Which
yes,
is
they
really
do. The
a
Friends,
wonderful thing
it's
for
a
everybody.
wonderful thing the Friends do. Yes.
Well, Agnes, it's a wonderful thing that you do, right? I mean, the fact that you're doing this program, and once again, for people who are getting older, certainly, your chances of having eye problems keep getting greater when you're older. As I always talk about, folks who were originally involved in the Americans with Disabilities Act, and you always thought, oh, that's just kind of them, these kind of random people who've got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And it's only now that you realize, no, that's me, in 10 or 20 or 30 years, right? So to have that available for people, of course, it's like what so many things that Kelly Burke does there, right? And what's I think has always been so great about your friends group is you've got this way that you can kind of experiment there, because if there's an interesting program, the Friends always seem to have money. I know they bury it in their backyard, but they always seem to be able to pop up with money to try something, and then if it works, and then you try to get it to be self-supporting. But having that variety of programs is just wonderful.
It is.
And having you on is just terrific. Thank you very much for this. We really, really appreciate it. So Anita, thank you again for being willing to do this, because she keeps doing this. She keeps bringing these just wonderful folks. Thank you. I hope this was helpful for you, especially, you know, first, if you haven't been to the senior center, because the bottom line is there's a ton of stuff to do there, right? And you don't have to volunteer for 30 years. If you go there and you want to just do a little bit, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Second, if you've got vision issues, right, this is just a wealth of information, as well as being in a group where you've got shared experiences, so that you may really be able to learn something in terms of, you know, how to better equip your house, what your diet should be, a whole bunch of things. So, you know where it is. You got to get down there. I bet she'll be there. It looks like she's there a lot, right? So thanks again, Agnes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. And
Our pleasure.
We'll see you again on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Northborough. Thank you very much.